Welcome to the Coaches Show. I'm Darrin Joins, Williamson County Schools Athletic Director. Excited today to talk about a big matchup, not only in WCS, but a Region 6-5A matchup that certainly matters. We got our head football coaches for tonight's game. Centennial head coach Jamal Stewart, Nolensville head coach Paul Darrin. Gentlemen, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Again, this is a big Region 6-5A matchup. Teams that are 1-0 in the league, certainly a lot of playoff implications with this game tonight. Coach Darrin, since you've become region opponents, we talked about this before. Last year was the first time you'd ever played. You did a jamboree, I think you said, years ago.
Yep.
First time you ever played. It was a great ball game. It meant a lot in terms of the playoffs. But since you've become region opponents, and it's WCS, that region thing kind of ramps it up even more, right?
Oh, definitely. Just there's more at stake, and I think where this game falls on the schedule in the season, and I mean it's a big ball game. I don't think there's any denying that. And anytime you play a WCS opponent, it's going to be exciting because the student sections and the kids kind of know each other. But it being a region game, I think it just ramps it up that much more, like you said.
Coach Stewart, you would agree those WCS games, especially being a region game. You got Nolensville, Page, Centennial all in the same league. It certainly changes it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. When you're in neighboring foes, they're friends, and they hang out on the weekends sometimes. And like you said, the student sections go back and forth, and just playing in neighboring communities, man, it means a lot for the kids in the community. So, I mean, the kids both sides are amped up about it.
So we're halfway through the season here. You played 5 games. Both have played a region game. But now, looking at your schedules, they really start mattering now, Coach Darrin.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, we're starting this week. We're getting to the meat of it, Every game matters, obviously, but, the region games are the ones you want to win because of the playoffs, obviously. But, I think we're hitting a stride here for us. I don't want to speak for Coach Stewart, but for us, where, we're getting to where every game is going to be very, very important for us as far as where we want to be at the end of the year.
Coach Stewart, you'd agree with that?
Oh, without a doubt. The opponents that we're playing in this meat of the schedule, you have to come to play. It's not a walk in the park game. It's not a tune-up game. These games are what matter, and these are the games that really, basically tell you where you are in your season right now. So, and when it gets to a region opponent, I mean, there's not a night off. So, you got to be locked and loaded for Friday night. Again,
game history. It's a very short history. Last year was the first matchup. Centennial with the 17-14 win at home. I thought, Coach Darrin, it was kind of one of those games. It felt like kind of an instant classic. There were so many exciting moments. Now, it didn't end the way you wanted to, but
right.
It felt like an instant classic, honestly, to me, because there were so many exciting moments in that game.
Yeah, it was kind of didn't play very well in the first half, and then our kids kept battling back and got back in the ball game in the second half, and then they got down there, made a play, and kicked the field goal to win it, but. Obviously, not the way we wanted it to end, but it was a fun game for the kids to be a part of. It was an exciting game, so I'm expecting another exciting game this Friday.
Coach Stewart, would you agree with that? That game had those exciting moments, which really added to it.
Oh yes, I mean when you play against a Nolensville and a Paul Darrin coach team, you're going to have to play four full quarters. Before we even got on the schedule at this school, we always scrimmage each other.
Yeah.
So, you kind of, you get a good scrimmage, you get great coaching, you got some good kids that make plays and things like that. And so, it's going to be a battle Friday night. And like I said, last year was a good outcome for us. But like I said, it went down to the fourth quarter, and these guys are coming back with loaded players. And so we have some good players as well. So I'm looking forward to a really good game tonight.
So talk about that. That scrimmaging. Y'all did that for a while?
2 years?
2 years. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When I was at East Nashville, we scrimmaged 2 years in a row. So, like I said, it was always good for us. So, when I got into the region, I already knew it was going to be one of those games where you can't halfway it. You got to play four full quarters because those guys are disciplined. They fly to the football, and they give you some nice things on offense that if you're not where you're supposed to be, they can exploit you. So, it's been 4 years of playing each other in some kind of capacity. It's been good football, so I'm excited. I like to play good opponents, So, and I think our kids are excited too because at the beginning of the schedule, you kind of play some games that like get a feel for where you are. Well, now you got an opponent tonight where if you're not doing what you're supposed to do, it can get ugly fast.
Coach Darrin, talk about that. And I know it probably seems like I'm overstating this, but I always do it with football coaches. It seems like. the respect, and I know a lot of you work together, and you've been on staffs as assistant coaches, or maybe you were assistants at different schools. So sometimes that relationship amongst assistants can be different. But it's pretty special in football here. It really is.
Yeah. I think everybody gets along. Everybody kind of, I think when you're not playing against them, they're kind of cheering for each other. But yeah, I think we have a unique thing in the county where all the coaches, kind of get along. And I know Coach has been good to me since he's been in the county. So yeah, it's something special.
Coach Stewart, was it like that?
Oh,
where you came from?
I mean, some places. I mean, where sometimes it can be crabs in a barrel, and sometimes everybody gets along. But like I said, here, I mean, in the off season when we did our Wilco workout, me and Paul talked defense for a little bit. And even though we play each other, we still talk defense and share ideas. And same thing with Will and Brian and the other guys in the county. Like, we all get along, and like I said, there's no bad blood there. And like I said, it's just really fun to have that camaraderie in the county because, like, when we're not playing, you do want your guys to win. So I really like it and enjoy it, and I think it's good for the aura of what we're building in the county.
I think ball is ball, right? Like,
of course.
So why would you not want to talk to good coaches about what you're doing and maybe what they're doing and pick their brain? So it's good to have. I think we have really good quality coaches in this county, and I think it's good that we all get along and we can share ideas and not be secretive. I mean, there's so much stuff out there that there really are no secrets anymore. So, like I said, ball is ball, and it's just nice to talk ball sometimes.
Well, and I think it's awesome from my seat at least. It's pretty special. I don't know if y'all realize how special it is because it's not always that way. And I think back to when I was at Beach, we had a region football meeting at the school. And Coach Crabtree, he's easy to get along with. He's pretty laid back, doesn't say. But I remember walking into the meeting. I don't know why I walked in. I did for some reason. It was at the school, and I thought, man, nobody's really talking to each other. In basketball, over in that league, everybody was kind of like you guys are. Not as special as it is here. But then when I came to the first football meeting here, I think Coach Crawford was still here. I was like, I thought maybe it's just football people trying to go, no, man, we're not talking. But it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
It is, and I love it. I really do love it. And it obviously hadn't hurt anybody's success. I mean, when you look around, this is kind of the place, Coach.
If you're a real football coach, you like to talk football. Like I said, I talk to many coaches week in, week out, off season and things like that. I mean, it's not, like Coach said, it's not a secret. I mean, and at the end of the day, you got to execute. I mean, it don't matter if I can hand you the play, and if my guys execute a little bit better, we're going to win, and vice versa. So it's just about sharing information and how can you help your program, and you get a good feeling when, even though you talk about some things, and then a guy comes and calls you on Saturday morning, Sunday, like, hey man, that thing we talked about kind of helped us. You feel good about that. And like I said, building that camaraderie with coaches is kind of fun. So when you can brainstorm ideas and things like that, or you can go back and forth of why you like this or why you don't like it. I mean, that's the part about football we get to enjoy.
Yeah. No, I think that's well said. Let's talk about your games last week, and we'll start with Coach Stewart. 7-3 win at Springfield. They score on a long drive, but you hold them to 3. I think it was a 16-play, 74-yard drive. A little less than 9 minutes to go. They kick a field goal. You guys respond, and with less than 30 seconds left, you've got Riley Turner to Kanai Johnson. Obviously, that's one of those things, kind of like you said. I got a feeling a lot of people in that stadium knew this is where it's going, but they couldn't stop it. You end up getting that score late in the game. I think it was like 26 seconds left, Coach. I thought this about your team. I think that's a game, regardless of how you think you played. You may think, hey, we need to clean up penalties or whatever you think about it. At the end of the day, good teams and tough teams a lot of times win those games on the road late in ball games. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, it was a tough game, and it's no knock or anything, but Springfield's a hard-nosed, tough team. Like, they care about football, and they get to the football. We shot ourselves in the foot a little bit. Way too many penalties, 14 penalties, 120 yards, I believe, or something in that manner. We have to clean that up. But like you said, it was like adversity, and we talk about adversity every day at practice and overcoming it because, like I said, you're going to have to deal with it for the rest of your life. And my guys didn't argue. Now, if you would have told me that in the summertime, they probably argued and going back and forth with each other, losing composure, but they never lost composure. And, I think that's kind of what held them together for talking about finishing 4 quarters of football. We didn't finish 4 quarters of football our first game of the year. And I feel like that right there in itself kind of made the kids understand like it's not over till it's over. Play 4 quarters, and they stuck together, and they just made something happen. So,
Well, Coach Stewart, talk about this because I know that's something you've pretty openly talked about. Too many penalties, but I've always thought this too. It's kind of like turnovers maybe in basketball if you're trying to be aggressive. Sometimes when you're trying to say let's be aggressive, doesn't that happen some?
yeah.
That you're going to have penalties, but then you got to have that balance of, okay, this is maybe too aggressive in this spot. But doesn't that happen with teams that are trying to be aggressive?
Yeah, I mean, we thought we were going there with run heavy nature, and we had way too many holding penalties, and some that were legit. I mean, holding's holding. You probably can get a holding call every play if you really wanted to, but I mean. It's like I said, they played hard. Springfield played hard, and our guys were battle tested. That was the first time we really played against someone that was like, "Hey, we're going to run at you," and it gave our kids a different outcome of how to play the game, and they responded well. I mean, like I said, penalties occurred. The kids never lost composure, and it's part of the game. But at the end of the day, they never broke. They stayed together for 4 quarters, and like I said, they still had confidence in themselves to go down there and make a couple plays with a minute to go.
Coach Derek, your team, you travel to Franklin. Franklin's really playing well right now. I think they've got a legit shot to finish top 2 in that region, certainly being undefeated right now. Non-region games, so it didn't really count in terms of that. But you had a play, and people might look at it and go, hey, the final score is 32-3. You're down 8-3. You're down close. You're on the goal line getting ready to score. If you score there, I would argue, and again, this is not coach speak, I don't think, and it's no excuse, obviously, but that game maybe is different.
I would like to think so. If we punch it in right there and take the lead, that was after a drop snap on a punt where we kind of got some momentum, and then we got down there on the goal line and didn't get it in. So momentum kind of shifted back, and really, it wasn't all bad in the first half for us. We talked about it at halftime. It was a few plays that really kind of changed the course of the game in the first half, and really it was just too much to overcome at the end of the day. But obviously didn't play our best football against a good football team, and if you don't play good against a good opponent, then sometimes the game can get away from you. And I just feel like that's kind of what happened on last Friday night. And so we talked about it all week. We watched the film, correct the mistakes, and then we're flushing it because we don't have time to worry about that. We can't have a hangover this week going into this ball game. Like you mentioned, that was not a region game. I mean, you want to win them all, but at the end of the day, for where we want to be at the end of the year, that game really doesn't matter much, and this one this week really matters a lot.
Was it? I've always thought. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd rather try to teach somebody playing bad and winning personally, but sometimes when you do drop a game, unlike the previous 2 where you just rolled, I think 80-0, you outscored your last 2 opponents. Was it easier to maybe get somebody's attention? Like, hey, we need. Sometimes it'd be like, Coach, you're trying to correct me. We won by 48-0. But when you get beat, sometimes it's easier to go, now listen, here's what you need to do a little bit better, and you got their attention a little bit more.
Yeah, in my experiences, when you correct mistakes after a big win, we talk about it all the time, like things we have to correct, but I think it really hits home if you lose a football game.
Yeah.
It stings a little bit more, and you're like, oh, I see what Coach is talking about now. If we don't do X, Y, Z, or if we continue to make this mistake or play undisciplined or we're not focused, and all these things we constantly talk about after a loss, then I think it kind of hits home a little more.
Same thing with your game with Franklin, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's the exact same thing. Like I said, we played pretty well first game of the year versus the biggest opponent for, the county, for our side of town. We didn't finish the game. We took a playoff, and they played better than us at those last couple of moments, but it was eye-opening to the kids to understanding, hey, special teams is not a playoff, or just because of the scenario, you don't get to take a playoff and things like that. So in our kids' mind, I think it kind of opened their eyes and like, hey, this is what he means by playing 4 full quarters of every snap, and don't take it for granted. I mean, like I said, a loss did open our guys up. I think our mojo, our mentality changed a little bit coming in for film and corrections and recovery and weights that following day. But it was needed. We had a successful summer and stuff that doesn't matter, like 7-on-7 and things like that. So our guys were probably a little big-headed, balloon-headed at the time, and they needed a wake-up call. And I think they answered the bell to that, and I think their mindset changed, and I think we're treading in the right direction.
Let's talk about your region a little bit, which we have some. So it's obviously you guys, Page, Glencliff, Hillsboro, the school formerly known as Hillwood, James Lawson. You know, a lot of years, and look, all these teams, we're going to give them respect. Glencliff obviously is a team that's struggled and probably going to struggle. Hillsboro, that's a brand, that's a pretty darn good football brand. So you're talking about in your league, you've got, and I know Lawson's new, but you've got 4 teams, Coach Derek, that have done pretty darn well if you look at the last 10 years in football in Middle Tennessee.
Yeah, I think I talked about it at the media days. I think our region is a challenging region. It's turned into a challenging region. Hillsboro, always a historic program, always puts a good product on the field. And then you talk about Lawson, and got a tremendous amount of respect for what Coach Lilly's doing there. We had to go there last year, and it was a dogfight. So then, obviously you got Centennial and Page. We know what they're all about. So yeah, I think every week in our region is you better come ready to play.
Talk about this, Coach Derek. Obviously you had some success, a lot of success. But you were in a region before, didn't have 3 WCS teams.
Right.
Talk about how that maybe feels different in the school.
Yeah, I think it just brings a little bit more familiarity, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe a little more pride.
You were still playing WCS teams.
Right, but not with the what's at stake now with the region implications and all that. But I think it just, number one, the familiarity with the schools, and like Coach mentioned, the kids know each other, student sections go back and forth. It's just good. It's just a good environment for high school football.
Yeah.
And then you throw in that it's a region game and what's at stake. I think it just makes it exciting for the entire community, and especially the players and the students.
Coach Stewart, I think you've got a unique situation, especially being here now. This is your second year in WCS. You've got a familiarity, a history with the coaches in WCS, but with that other part of the region too. You've got experience and know a lot of the guys in Metro, so you've kind of called both places home.
Yeah, I mean, it like I said, I cut my teeth in Metro, played there, grew up there, learned there, and things like that. But being on both spectrums of it, you kind of understand and you like what WCS brings to Friday night. You get a Friday night experience here, and like even I've had former players come watch Centennial play, and they was in the bleachers, and after the game they were like, "Coach, there's nothing like this." And it's just because the experience, and like you said,
cool.
The student sections are cool. The game days is cool, and then the support, all that's amazing, and like that's the difference. How much it matters, and it matters here. And like you said, when region implications are on the line, it matters even more. It matters for your neighborhood rivalry, and that matters for the friend rivalries all the time and things like that. It makes it fun. It gives you a Friday night experience that a lot of people miss out on.
And Coach Stewart, I'd remind you, I don't know if we ever said this on air, but I want to throw this out here. You're not leaving. We're keeping you, Coach Stewart. But I will remind you what your assistant said. Coach, if you roll, we're staying.
Yeah. So they really enjoy it. Like I said, our work day is great. We got a great admin. We have fun at work, and got my guys in the building, and that's something I didn't have at East. I was the only coach in the building.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that, but that's rough. I got 5 guys in the building and working on more and things like that. They really enjoy it. School day is great. The camaraderie in the building is great, and I'm pretty sure Paul has that same thing. And I talk to my other friends in the county. They have a good work day, and it's fun. Like I said, you don't wake up and be like, I gotta go to work. I've never said that yet. It's pretty fun because like we got so many characters in the building. We have a good time. So.
And Coach Derek, I think this is true of both of you. I've mentioned this before too. The ADs, you and Coach Hudson are pretty darn tight too.
Yeah.
That makes it nice too.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when you have an AD that's in your corner, and he's always, what can I do for you? What do you need? And especially on game day, as far as there's we talked about it the first home game, like what all goes into it, like the production of it, setting the field up, and everything that goes into it. And he takes all that off my plate, so I can just focus on the game and super happy and for his support and our relationship that's really grown over the years, especially since I've become the head coach. But yeah, I really appreciate him, and not only him, but also the admin at Nolensville.
Yeah.
So just feel really supported by everybody.
And Coach Stewart, Coach Moore, Jeremy Moore, who's the basketball coach and your AD, he was a guy that wanted you here. He supported you while you're here. It's the same thing over there.
J-Mo's a good friend, man. I tell him the stuff he told me, I was like, he lied to me about some of this stuff, just jokingly. but we just joke about it all the time. But like I said, he makes my day great.
Yeah.
Like, it's so much that goes into a home football game, like Paul said. If he wasn't there, I would feel like I'm back in East Nashville. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of stuff. You don't get that type of support. But I mean, he takes care of everything for me. Like I said, we're friends. We are fortunate enough we eat lunch together every day, and we laugh and joke and talk about all kind of things. But when you got that type of support and you build that friendship, it makes the job a little bit easier for you.
Coach Stewart, let's now talk about y'all's teams a little bit more. We'll start with you, Coach Stewart, offensively. You keep singing the praises of your quarterback, Riley Turner, and deservedly so. I loved his comments after the game. He was talking about he and Kenai had played for years together. He talked about him playing as little guys together. You've talked about him being an extension of you on the field. He's a coach on the field. He really does see things kind of the way you see them.
Oh, yeah, he does a great job. Like, his film study is probably one of the best that I've had with quarterbacks. And I'm like, he's always, Saturday morning, he's already on it. He's sending me stuff for, hey, I like this, coach, I like this. And he's grown. But the biggest thing is the kids respect him. That's what matters the most. They respect him in the locker room. If he says something, it goes. Or if he wants to make an adjustment, he can get on to him because they know if he's getting on to him, it's rightfully so. You know, and he's just a fun kid to be around. Like, he's one of them kids you wish you could have got for 2 more years. Because, like, he's just a great, positive kid. When things are bad, he's the first one, hey, man, we got to pick this up. We got to fix this. I mean, really good. I told him after he graduates college, he's going to be a football coach. He's one of them guys you just see. He has a knack for football, and he has a knack for making people confident in situations. You know what I mean? So, yeah, Kanai's his guy, but he finds ways to get the other guys the ball. And like I said, he does exactly what you ask him to do.
And, again, this is outside looking in. He and Kenai, I know you probably have other leaders, but they seem like the pretty obvious leaders to me.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, they're both respected in the locker room, and they do what they're supposed to. And like when you know, I know you shouldn't say things like this, like Paul said a few minutes ago, but like when the game is on the line, if we're going to go down, we're going down with those two.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they've earned that. I mean, they work hard, and at the end of the day, they're gonna fight their tail off for the team. They really care more about the name on the front of the jersey than the back of the jersey.
Coach Derek, let's talk about your quarterback. Jack Dever, who comes in, he had some pretty big shoes to fill. You had a quarterback play pretty darn well last year. I know you've been proud of him and what he's done. And then also, I look at him and then a guy like Landon Smotherman, nice to have him back.
Yep.
Obviously somebody that produces for you offensively.
Yeah, Jack's done a really good job at operating the offense. I feel like he's making good decisions. So he's done a tremendous job for us. And then you mentioned Landon. Kind of does a little bit of everything for us. He plays our slot receiver. We can put him out wide. He can run the ball. Obviously, he's a receiver, so he can catch the ball. And then you got a little package for him on punt. And he's done a great job. He's very versatile and kind of has a unique skill set where we can put him in different situations, different places to kind of maybe hopefully get mismatches on people.
Let's talk about your teams defensively. We'll start with you, Coach Derek, on this. Kind of like, and I'll mention this with Coach Stewart. I mean, I think all coaches have a thing they're kind of known for. To me, for you, it's the defensive side. I mean, obviously, you get some history there with defense, and you work with the defense. So, talk about your defense. I think it's one of those things you kind of know with your team, at least it's the perception I have, you're going to kind of max out defensively. If you have some dudes, you're really going to be good. If you don't have the dudes, you're going to piece it together. It's kind of, and I mean this is a comment, and we can't W Dr. Defense. It's already taken.
I understand that.
But it feels similar to me. That you guys, to me, I don't maybe not the same approach, but it feels very similar.
Yeah, I mean, obviously being on the defensive side of the ball and, coming before a head coach, being a coordinator on that side of the ball, I take a lot of pride in defense with our plays. I take a lot of pride in trying to put kids in spots where they can be successful. And you mentioned, trying to piece it together. I think that's the fun part about any side of the ball or high school football in general. You kind of got who you got, and you got to figure out. I think everybody has a base offensive or defensive philosophy, and you're going to stick to that and what scheme you run and what you believe in. And then I think from there you go, okay, what kind of pieces do we have, and you kind of tweak it to where you put those pieces in places where they can be successful. And I think that's something that I would like to think that we do a good job of at our place, not just from my perspective, but our assistant coaches. They're the head coach of their position, and I give them free reign to, kind of set their depth chart and play what they want to play. And again, it's something we take pride in, and they say defense wins championships.
Sure.
So if if they can't score, they can't win. That's a big Coach Hester line that I used to hear a lot. But yeah, I mean, I think coaches say the same about offense, right? I mean, you take pride in that side of the ball. I mean, we take pride in both sides of the ball, but if you're calling it and you're in charge of it, obviously there's a little more to it.
Well, let's talk about your defense, Coach Stewart. Again, I think you're a guy that's rightfully so. You think about Jamal Stewart, you think about offense. I'll never forget last year, one of our first times we talked, that you talked about, kind of like you just said with Smotherman, you got to get the dudes the ball somewhere, no matter where it's at. We just got to make sure it's in their hands. But I think maybe because of that being known for the offensive side, your defense has big time stepped up this year. They've really played well.
I laughed a few minutes ago because you say offensive mind. I scored 7 points last week, so just imagine how my Saturday morning was. But I talked to Will. About it.
Hey, we gave up 32. So.
I talked to Will about it at the JV game. He said, "Yeah, it sucks when you're the offensive guy, huh?" He said, "I've been there before." So I mean, we laugh about it. But before we even get to that, I think Paul's one of the best DCs minders around here. I've been knowing him and watching him for a while, even when he was with Will. I mean, they put their guys in the right space and they get to the ball and they're sound and things like that. So, yeah, I mean, I really, and I told my guys, like, they take pride in it over there and, like, you can't make mistakes. And as an offensive guy, that's my job to get them guys the ball, and I got to do a better job at some of the things that we're doing. And but yeah, I mean, you know, like I said, you take pride in that, and you're up all night trying to make the adjustments. So it's like, what am I doing wrong and things like that. But I mean, it's fun. I got to find a way to get the guys the ball. You got multiple guys to get the ball to. That's the hard part sometimes. But I mean, it's part of who you are. And the thing about it is, I learned defense to be a better offensive guy. Hey, why are they going? Why do they do this? And why are they set like that? And I learned that from Scott Blake. So I mean, so that's what's important. You know, at the end of the day, I mean, like, hey, this is how they're going to defend you. How do you counter that? You know, if they're a well-coached team, they're disciplined. You got to try to put them in bind some kind of ways and things like that. But you know, you take pride in it, and when it's not doing very well, it's going to be a long Friday night and an early Saturday morning.
Well, let's talk about this. And let's talk a little bit more about tonight's game. Special teams, Coach Derrick. This is something that always comes up. Obviously, our special teams historically have been great, especially talking about the kicking games here in WCS. But these games, these region games, especially if they're nail biters, that often is the difference maker.
Yeah, it's a third of the game. And last year, I felt like that was probably an area that from last year we needed to improve in. I felt like we're better on special teams this year. And yeah, I mean, again, it's a third of the game, and when it's an evenly matched game, that can definitely be the reason you win or lose a football game.
Coach Stewart, agree?
100%. In this day and age, I think the kids in this generation think that's a playoff, or that's beneath them at times. Like, man, I just played all these plays on offense and defense. Coach, let somebody else run down there on kickoff. You know, and that they don't understand. That's the first thing that's going to get you on the field at the next level. You know what I mean? So special teams is very important. I mean, we're fortunate to have a great kicker. Will Stanley's doing a good job for us. I mean, anytime you can kick the ball at the back of the end zone, the defense got to start from the 20. I mean, that's a plus. You know, and so I don't take that for granted at all because, like I told you before, I've never had that before and things like that. So, I mean, it's one of them things. If you're winning, if you make a play on special teams, boom, you extended the lead. Or if you're down, you make a play on special teams, boom, we're right back in the game. So, I mean, it's not a playoff. It's very important. It's just as important as offense and defense. But it's the mindset of this. You got to like really push into your guys like, hey, this can change the game. So it's big for us.
Let's talk some keys tonight. We'll start with Coach Derrick. Give me a couple of keys for your squad tonight. Again, we're talking the Region 6-5A matchup. A couple of undefeated teams in the region. Centennial traveling to Nolensville. Coach Derrick.
Well, you mentioned special teams. I think we need to continue to play well in that area. Defensively, it always comes down for me. Do you want to stop the run, number one? And they do a great job over there running the football. So that'll be challenge number one. And then, you know, they got some guys that can go make plays, make big plays. And as a defensive guy, you don't want to give up big plays, don't want to give up explosives. You want to make them drive the ball down the field, make them earn it. So I think, you know, stopping the run, trying to eliminate explosive plays on defense, and then offensively, we just need to finish. We get down the scoring zone. We need to finish drives, and you'd like to be able to establish the run to open up some other things in the passing game. So I think those would be what I think is the key for us tonight.
What about for your squad, Coach Stewart?
Offensively, I think we just need to, you know, whatever the defense gives us, take it. everything doesn't have to be a home run ball. Just really focus on what we can do well and not venture off and say, hey, I like this, let's experiment with it. Just do what we do well, and just, it's okay having a drive. We don't have to have the money ball every time and things like that. And defensively, just be disciplined with our eyes, doing your job. Sometimes we tend to try to compensate for somebody else thinking they're not going to do something when that's, at the end of the day, you're messing up the whole thing trying to do somebody else's job when we just need you to do yours. So being disciplined with our eyes, being disciplined and reading our keys and doing what you're supposed to do, what you've been coached to do since Saturday, and don't do your own thing.
Well, gentlemen, I appreciate you being here. I know you're busy. Looking forward to tonight's game.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for the Coaches Show. We'll see you next time.